Hello everyone, welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. It is I, Captain Logan, and joining me tonight, as always, is my chat moderator and my co-host, my son Jayson.
Whoa, it's me.
How's everybody doing?
Not woe is me, but whoa, it's me.
Whoa is me. Once again, I feel like it's been forever since we've done the show. I feel like we're averaging like twice a month for the Captain Logan Show when the show used to be twice a week. But we've been doing some other stuff sometimes on Monday nights. Last week we did Michael Combat. We reviewed the Michael Jackson documentary, biopic. I say the biopic. Apparently the first of two. And, which, you know, he will return in Avengers Doomsday. And also, we talked about Mortal Kombat 2. And so eventually we'll do Michael 2. Maybe we should call that Michael Kombat 2, even though that won't make any sense.
Nah, yeah.
It'd be great if a Mortal Kombat 3 came out the same weekend as a Michael 2.
I wish Mortal Kombat 2 was doing better.
Yeah, because they probably won't get their 3.
No.
They shouldn't have got their 2, honestly.
No, they shouldn't have, but
like,
I'm glad they did.
I think that was one of those COVID happy accidents where you could not gauge how well the movie was doing, so stuff would get greenlit just going, I mean, it might have performed in the theater, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because wasn't that a direct-to-Max movie, ultimately?
I think it was, if I remember correctly, but I didn't... I'm not sure.
Because I watched it at home, and I'm pretty sure I watched it the week it came out.
Wow.
But,
did you review it?
Yeah. Austin and I did, and he disliked it so much he didn't bother to go see the second one in the theater. And I didn't like it either, but I thought the second one looked like it had promise.
Yeah.
And it did. I mean, it was, you know, we flipped green.
I like both of these movies.
Was not the brightest green I've ever flipped it. Maybe, honestly, probably about the same shade of muted green as the Lanterns TV show is giving us so far on the trailers. I think that was probably the shade.
Stop.
So we got a new Lanterns trailer today. Did you like that segue?
I did.
Are you proud of me for that?
You're being too mean.
I'm just saying that because that's been the complaint from people.
It has.
I am reserving judgment on it, certainly. And we've talked about this already, but like I've been very like, you know, raising an eyebrow at some things, but like, you know, I'm gonna give it a shot. And the only thing I have to say about the new trailer, I'll just say this real quick. We've got a couple of little news things we'll hit because some stuff has happened today that we want to weigh in on, but we're primarily going to do a Siskel and Ebert reaction stream tonight. It looked like kind of a slow news week, and so I was going to do something completely different. And then it turns out that we honestly could have done full-on lead-in topic tonight, but whatever. The Lanterns trailer that dropped today, I took one look at that. We watched it right before the show, and my immediate response, Jayson, is to quote Rhodey from Iron Man 2, next time, you ought to lead with that.
Yeah?
Yeah, that should have been the trailer. That should have been the initial teaser trailer.
I think I agree, but I like
and it's
that
not
teaser
any more or less of a teaser trailer than that one. Yeah. Like, it's not showing too much.
Yeah, it's not.
I don't think. I mean, yeah, like there's more glimpses of characters and stuff, and it feels fuller. Like compared to that first teaser, sure. But if that had been the only thing that came out, it still would feel like a teaser trailer.
Yeah.
Why not? And I think there probably would have been less raised eyebrows and less Green Lantern people, or your fans, like freaking out that it's not what they want. I mean, there still would be some of that. Like it's going to look too gritty to some people. The color palette is still going to look too muted to people. But this clearly is a response to everybody's complaining about the lack of green and where are the constructs. And so immediately, here's some green, here's the constructs. Don't worry, everybody. It is a Green Lantern thing. It's just for adults. And they're leaning real hard on the things that would be scary about that world.
Yeah. I think the only thing I don't love is them fighting over the ring.
Oh, sure.
That's the only thing everything else looks awesome. Mm-hmm. I'm super excited for this show. It looks like I'm...
It looks dark and potentially fun still.
I don't
like that. The fun was kind of missing from that first trailer. Here I'm starting to see how it's going to be potentially a lot more entertaining. And
I don't like that everybody is like super against. It seems to be against anything that they put out about the show because of that first teaser.
Well, and I think people were somewhat against it in principle in the first place because, like, we don't need hard R Green Lantern. We don't need F-bombs in our Green Lantern. Why isn't it in space? You know, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
And you and I have both talked about how we would love a space-centered Green Lantern show.
Yeah.
But Green Lantern traditionally also is an Earth-based thing.
See, a space-based Green Lantern is space-based. That is my favorite Green Lantern. That is the only Green Lantern comics I read. But, like, show-wise, a grounded Green Lantern show sounds awesome and looks awesome.
And see, I don't care about grounded Green Lantern, but I think it'll win me over. Like, my prediction is, it's not exactly what I would want from a Green Lantern thing, but it's going to be good. That's my prediction.
The only thing with me is that it's just the most me kind of show, like, looking show I've ever seen. So, like,
and
I
were saying
can't
that
not be excited about it, because it's the most for me kind of thing.
So anyway, we just wanted to weigh in on that real quick. As always, we appreciate you watching, and if you want to weigh in on anything and make sure that your question or your topic is discussed on air, you'll leave a super chat, any dollar amount, and that guarantees that we will talk about your thing. We'll discuss anything within reason, but probably a little briefer than normal. We're going to, and I always hesitate saying this because sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but our plan right now anyway is to go a little shorter tonight. We usually do a full 2-hour show. We'll probably try to keep it more to a little past an hour. We'll try to fit everything in, and we'll still try to get at least a little bit of Q&A in, certainly. And so if it's about whatever we're talking about, we'll hit it right away if it's a super chat, and if not, we'll do it right at the end. We're not going to do any kind of extra segments tonight apart from a Patreon question, because I put feelers out for that today. And part of the reason we're going short tonight is because we've got crazy inclement weather we're at right now, and we've had to go into the basement for tornado warnings 3 times this year. And I'm not totally sure it's not going to happen a 4th time. Who knows? We're under watch right now, not a warning, but that could happen, so we're planning to keep it shorter, but we'll see what ends up happening.
That's pretty funny because the other big news is the DLC for Marvel Cosmic Invasion.
Yeah.
Which is funny because when you played that on stream, that had to happen. That was the stream where we had
true. And that was the first time we had to come downstairs for a tornado warning this year. That was a thing I wanted to mention, so I'll hit that just real fast too. We'll do everything backwards. We'll just talk about our news things real fast,
and then
like real fast, and then we'll go to Patreon, and then we're going to watch a Siskel and Ebert video episode in its entirety, and we're going to do the standard YouTube streamer thing. We're going to watch some of it, and then we're going to pause and talk about it. And Jayson has never seen one of these.
I've never seen, yeah.
And it's something that I have watched a ton of and go down rabbit holes on every so often. I'll watch a million of these in a row. And Ebert is kind of a personal hero of mine. And so it's going to be a lot of fun to finally introduce you to him.
Now, I do have a question for you.
Obviously, wasn't perfect, had all kinds of like wild opinions about things and stuff, but he has a lot to do with why I got into this whole reviewing business in the first place. What are you going to say?
Is the reason that Superhero Rewind was 4 out of 4 because of
0 to 4?
Ebert?
It was half Ebert, and it was half an old review book I had about Star Trek episodes called Trexperts, called Trek Navigator, and that was where the Trexperts name came from, and that was Altman and Gross, which were 2 science fiction journalists that did a lot of magazine work, and they came together to review every Star Trek episode that had come out by then, and they worked on a 0 to 4 scale. And so it was a combination of those 2 things.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's interesting to anybody, but yes. That's why I used to go on a 0 to 4 scale. I go on a 5-point scale now on a new commentary project, just because with the new kind of fun, sillier scale we have, having a more neutral middle of the road rating makes sense.
Well, and you did more like an 8-prong scale.
Yeah, because that's part of why I wanted to do it too, is so we couldn't have decimal points.
Yeah.
You have to pick one of the, legend, superhero, hero. Like, you have to pick one of those. And so, yes, 5 versus what was essentially 8. And I know Austin, kind of with Letterboxd and stuff, prefers a 5-point scale, and that was easier for him. So,
Yeah.
that's part of why we do that. Okay, let's do. Oh, sorry. We're gonna talk about the new stuff real fast. The other new stuff. Anything else you want to say about Lanterns? We're kind of good on that.
Nope, I'm excited. I'm still excited.
I'm more excited, certainly, or at least I'm more intrigued. I gotta tell you, man, I'm gonna be forced to resubscribe to Max for at least a little while because we're gonna want to watch Lanterns, and I'm gonna want to watch season 3 of My Adventures with Superman, which has been 2 years in the making between 2 and 3. I wasn't sure it wasn't canceled. And although they're doing that Green Lantern spinoff, so that made me think that they'll probably do another season.
Really?
A teaser came out, My Adventures with Green Lantern, yeah.
What?
You didn't know about this?
No.
Yeah, so we'll probably have to subscribe for that too. And a teaser for the new season came out, and they're doing a Cyborg Superman and a Superboy. And I think they might actually be the same character. I saw that the other day. I can't remember now. But it looks like they might just be merging some of the Reign of the Superman characters again. But anyway, they had this crazy online poster to introduce the 3rd season that was just a cyborg Superman with a Superman crest with, instead of the S, an L on it. And I was immediately intrigued. I was like, what are we doing? And it looks like it's going to be another like Lex Superman clone where he's part Lex, part Superman. And he's being run by Lex, so he's got an L instead of an S, which is pretty great. But it looks wonderful. It looks like more of that show in the best way possible.
Yeah, I gotta finally watch more of that.
Yes, you do. I'm stoked about it. Yes. Slipmaker, we don't do 0 stars. So racism gets half a star. I see what you did there. That's a quote from a show called Review that Austin and I reviewed a few weeks ago. That was an old Comedy Central thing. I think Comedy Central. That show is insane. Jayson. It's about a guy who reviews like real life experiences.
You told me about
this. Did I tell you about this?
Yeah.
And he would review anything his audience sent in, no matter what it was. So if it was illegal, he had to do it. Mm-hmm. And then his entire life is wrecked by like the 4th episode when he has to review, or maybe the 3rd, when he has to review divorce. And so he actually divorces his wife, and they keep it status quo moving forward.
That's so funny.
He ruins his entire life over it. Yeah, it's nuts.
And he's like, and then he gives it a half a star.
Daniverse, My Adventures with Superman is wonderful. And I geeked out as soon as I saw a glimpse of Supergirl. I'm like, good, she's still around, and that's, I don't know, top 3 Supergirls of all time. She's wonderful. She starts as a bad guy.
Yeah, I know you love that.
Yeah, they do a bad guy Supergirl, and she's kind of New 52 Rage Supergirl, and she works for Brainiac. It's fantastic.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's awesome. Anyways, so other things we wanted to talk about that we found out about today. We are getting the first round of DLC for Marvel Cosmic Invasion, which Austin and I have done an entire playthrough of. I played through it twice now. I adore that game. It's a really fun, throwback side-scrolling beat-em-up, and we were speculating a lot about what characters they might bring in, and I think we might have even talked about how we didn't have a Fantastic Four characters. That might be one of the things they do. So we're getting The Thing, and we're getting Cyclops, and Cyclops is, I haven't looked this up, but just very clearly from the trailer, it's the voice that is currently doing the kind of pitch-perfect Cyclops from X-Men 97, so I'm really glad he's there. We've got Storm and Wolverine both from that show, Jayson, in that. They've got some new voices, some throwback voices.
Awesome.
It makes the whole thing feel a lot more credibly 90s.
That's super cool.
And it works. It's great. Cyclops has this awesome move where he shoots his optic blast and it kind of bends and then it goes across the whole screen. So it's almost like a optic whip kind of move. And it looks great, and I'm very excited about it. And the most exciting thing about that, and I don't know what it costs, I've not looked at that yet, but usually those kinds of DLCs are like $6 or something. And there's some new game mode, I don't know what it is. I didn't look into that. But that game is pretty cheap in the first place, so I doubt very seriously if it's any more than $6-8.
Yeah.
But the most exciting thing about it is just that it said DLC Pack 1. So I hope to do 4 or 5. I'm excited to see how much bigger the roster gets.
Not kidding.
The big one I want, and you might think this is nuts, but they have some kind of odd, obscure, off-the-wall picks. They've got Beta Ray Bill. I want Marvel Angela.
That would be awesome. I
would really like to see her in that game. And they love their flying characters. I think it's possible. I hope we get her. And that would be, like, the other Thor character. There's not really another Thor character.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's the big one I'm holding out for. I hope we get her. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention is that, and this one is sad and tragic, we lost Tom Kane today. Tom Kane was a big voice actor, particularly in the late 90s, early 2000s, and he did a lot of Star Wars work. He was Yoda in Clone Wars, among other things, I think, and among other things, and he was, of course, Professor Utonium and him. So I'm a big fan of that guy because I'm a giant Powerpuff Girls nut, and it's really sad we've lost him. And I think we lost the announcer a few years ago.
Him
too? Yes, yeah. He was the professor and him.
I never knew that.
And you never know listening to him.
That's crazy.
He was one of the big modulation geniuses where like he disappeared.
Wow.
It was fantastic. It's really sad the sheer amount of Cartoon Network alum we've lost in recent years. Space Ghost and Zorak.
Yeah.
Now the professor from Powerpuff Girls. Yeah, it's really sad. And he was in his 50s. Wow. I believe. No, 64. 64, but still, relatively young, and really, really sad that we lost him. And I read on Facebook or somewhere that he recently, like a year or two ago, of course he was at conventions all the time, did a con where he was, and maybe he even did a tour, I'm not sure, because they did this with like the Ninja Turtles cast and stuff, but he did at least one con with all 3 of the voice actresses with the Powerpuff Girls. And so I'm glad they got to do that right before he ended up passing away.
Yeah.
I also didn't know that he lived out here. He was born in Overland Park, apparently, and lived in Casey Mo. Mm-hmm. He lived in Kansas City and died here.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which made me wonder why I saw that he was at Planet Comic-Con like one time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure he's done that con, but you'd think he might have been yearly if he lived out here.
Right.
But yeah, I never saw him there. I never saw him do like comic shop signings or anything. Like, you'd think if he lived out here, you'd see him quite a bit, and I never did. No. Maybe he did some of that stuff, and I just wasn't around, didn't know about it. But anyway, would you read that super chat real quick?
Sure.
And then we'll use that to segue. So, rest in peace, Tom Kane. Really,
not doing a Patreon.
Really sorry to see that. Oh yes, I'm sorry. We were backtracking toward Patreon. We will get to that. I'm so scatterbrained right now. Apologies, everybody, but we ended up with so much extra stuff we had to do on the show that I was trying to make an hour that my brain is swimming with stuff right now. Yeah, read that super chat real quick, and then we'll go to Patreon.
$2. Killer Moth Strikes Back. Reading 89 reviews of 89 while watching 89 when?
Well, I did. Thanks for the super chat, and once again, forgot my gong. I swear to God, it's become a regular feature on the show that you get to see whatever t-shirt I'm wearing really close while I'm getting that thing. Listen to that pure gong sound. Now that it's not banging up against itself all the time. Yeah. Anyway, I did, and I will try to get back to the 89 commentary soon. I've been trying to get this new Patreon show going, so we've got more content that's not just Batman 89. And other things have been coming up, so I'll try to get to that again soon. I don't know if it might be Wednesday, it might be the week after, I'm not sure yet. I still want to try to finish Dreamcast Spider-Man, do one more stream on that, and try to get through that last. I'm right at the end. I'm in this chase at the end. I just can't finish it. So anyway, that I'm probably gonna do Wednesday, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, I did a commentary already where I read period reviews. So that one probably won't happen because I would have to find 89 more of them. I mean, I guess I could find more contemporary reviews, but I don't know if I could read 89 of them.
Do you remember that
But thanks for the super
Do you
chat.
remember you did a couple videos? I think you did a couple videos with Austin where you read that one website with movies where it'd say like what age you would...
The kid reviews.
Yeah, the kid
We did that a couple times, yeah.
Can you do that
I think that's on the list.
for 89?
Yeah, I think that's on the list for 89. But I got to look at it and see how many there even are. Like, if there are very many reviews of that. But no, Austin and I did that for BVS.
It's one of your best videos.
Oh, thanks. Because we got a little bit of flack for making fun of children.
Oh, man.
And I didn't feel like we were mean or anything.
No.
But I felt like that was more of a kid say the darndest things kind of thing. But anyway, let's go ahead and everybody's entitled to their opinion. Speaking of that, we'll do Siskel and Ebert right after a Patreon question. Go.
Sorry. Okay, great.
Yeah.
When does a villain become a hero's arch nemesis?
When he murders the hero's parents and then the hero finds out about it years later, but then nobody else knows about it because he has no proof whatsoever.
You just keep trying to segue.
I know, it's really hard for me
It's
to
so
stay
funny.
away from 89. No, I'm going to assume that I always have to translate questions. I'm going to assume that what he means by that is what are the criteria for a hero's arch nemesis? When do you go from just another villain to arch nemesis? Do you have a good immediate answer for that? I'll let you field it first if you.
Well, like
to.
you said, I think it's a more of a personal thing to the character of the hero, of whoever the hero is. I think
Say again.
it's kind of a personal thing for the hero, where if it's something that happened in his past, or something that led him to become the hero, or whatever that superhero is that whatever made him sometimes it is his arch enemy. His arch nemesis is his enemy that made him become the superhero that he is now, and put on the costume.
I think if you survive, you become that by default.
Yeah.
Like your Shredders.
Yeah.
That's Splinter's arch nemesis for obvious reasons. Like, killed his family.
Yeah. Or if you're just a carbon copy of that hero, because the writers are lazy.
That's what I was going to say, is very often it's the clear other side of the coin, but you'll get heroes like Batman where most of his villains are a dark reflection of him in some way.
Yeah, definitely.
And so why does the Joker beat them all out as arch nemesis? I think it's because he's so the opposite. He's the opposite in many ways, not just like one token big like personality or thematic thing. What we could do, and I won't take too long on this, but this is a great question, and this does seem like something to maybe do a whole show on.
Sure.
The arch nemesis question, like what really what is at the core of an arch nemesis? Let's go down 4 or 5 major superheroes.
Yeah.
And mention their arch nemeses, and then decide what, if anything, they all have in common. So Batman's is the Joker. Spider-Man's is arguably Green Goblin. I think most people would say Green Goblin before anything.
Yeah.
Some people go Doc Ock. Some people go Venom. I love Venom. I don't even think Venom is Spider-Man's arch nemesis.
I would have said Doc Ock, but yeah.
Let's stay with Green Goblin.
Green Goblin.
The Raimi movies would say it's Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Let's stay with that for now. There's other things you could argue. Like it's not so much in the 90s show because we didn't even start with Green Goblin. But anyway, I don't want to get in the weeds. So Batman and the Joker, Spider-Man and Green Goblin, Professor X and Magneto.
Yep.
Or like the X-Men and Magneto.
Yeah.
Throw another one out at me.
Would you say the Avengers with Loki? Or
I mean, I think the Avengers kind of have
Dr.
many.
Doom.
Let's go to more singular ones, can we? Well, Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom. There you go.
Yeah.
Reed Richards, Doctor Doom. That's your arch nemesis there.
Uh-huh.
And then Daredevil's got Kingpin
Yep.
and or Bullseye.
Yeah. And then Superman and Lex Luthor.
Superman and Lex Luthor. Yeah. So many of these, and if you look at things like 89 with Batman, but generally that's going to be an outlier because Batman and the Joker don't have any like familial connection most of the time. But most of them have in common some kind of, like you said, deeper personal connection in the first place. Like early versions, and then, Smallville, obviously, with Superman, will have Superman and Lex Luthor as friends first. But even when we don't do that, we generally consider him Superman's arch nemesis. And I think it's because... Okay, it's going to be this simple, because some of them are, like I said, deeply personally connected, and some of them are not. Some of them create the hero, and some of them do not. Some of them are kind of that guy, but the dark, twisted mirror of him. What do they all have in common? The thing they all have in common, I think maybe without exception, is that they hate the hero more than anybody else does. Or, in a twisted sense, they love the hero more than anybody else does. I think that also works. And like this kind of love-hate thing, right? So like the Joker both hates and loves Batman more than anybody else does.
Yeah.
Right? And Lex sort of has that. Like Lex hates Superman more than anybody else does. Because he gets in his way, and because he can't be who he wants to be, have the reputation he wants if Superman is there. He ruins his reputation and his entire ideology by being as altruistic as he is.
Well,
so they hate the hero more than anybody else does.
Well, and it's interesting because the really big exception to that...
Magneto's weird.
Yeah.
With that, but...
Yeah. Those are more two sides of a coin.
Yes.
The exception is...
But Magneto loves Xavier.
Yeah.
More than anybody else
An
does.
exception...
Or any other villain,
is,
anyway.
Q loves Picard.
Well, yeah, but now we're getting outside of superhero, but sure.
Right. But you could argue that.
Yeah. But that is often considered, like, Picard's arch nemesis.
Yeah.
If it's not the Borg as a thing.
Okay, great says Madam Web and ADR Man.
ADR Man! So, that is an excellent question. I feel like we could go even farther with it.
Yeah.
But we're already half an hour in and we want to do the Siskel and Ebert thing. So put a pin in it. Would you mark that somewhere as a thing to maybe revisit? I am worried I'll just repeat everything I just said, but I think there might be more ground to cover with that one. Okay, so the reason we're doing this tonight is because I forget who it was, so apologies if you're here. Remind me, but with a viewer last night, I did the quick plug for this. I did the second episode of my new solo Patreon show, which is basically like a Captain Logan show, except I'm totally by myself, and I spend most of the show on one thing, just thoroughly exploring it, and then I'll hit some extra questions and topics at the end when there's more Patreon stuff and when we have live viewers that want to hit something. And that show is public while I'm broadcasting it and then goes unlisted, and you have to be a patron to look at it after the fact. And so again, quick plug for that, $2 tier, you can get that. And if you happen to be around, I'm doing it at various times, and I'm just popping in for it. So it's like a while Captain Logan appears. If you're there, you get to hang out with me and watch some or all of that. Thanks everybody that showed up last night. We talked about the main reasons that I think the MCU is in a decline, and we explored that thoroughly, and we had a big crowd show up for that, so thank you guys. But somebody came in toward the end, maybe it's Chewbacca's lover, I can't remember, and said, hey Cap, when are you going to do those Siskel and Ebert reaction streams that you've talked about doing? And I was like, well, I don't know, I'm not sure where I'd work it in. And then we didn't have any clear lead-in topic for tonight before some news suddenly started dropping. It's weird on a Monday. We used to have that all the time on Wednesday and Thursday, but today apparently Monday is the new Thursday. Maybe bigger stuff will happen even later this week.
Yeah.
And so I went, well, why don't we do sort of a pilot run for it? And we'll do that on the Captain Logan show. If people are interested in it, I might do more of it on like random extra streams, or we might just at some point come back and do more of these as lead-in topics. Why not? They're 20-minute episodes. If we're not stopping constantly, it won't take too long to cover one. And I thought I would just kind of put my feelers out and see how much interest there was in this. So there's different ways we can do this. At some point, I might make a compilation of a lot of the actual superhero movies that Siskel and Ebert covered and just do them in rapid succession. Or we might do some more of these full episodes. But I wanted... So I went in and I was like, what is an episode that covers several movies that Jayson is familiar with, that are kind of like bigger movies, that the audience will be interested in us reacting to their response to?
Yeah.
And so I went with 1989 and the weekend Batman came out,
cool.
Which seems obvious because I'm constantly doing 89 commentary. In my defense, doing an entire commentary about Siskel and Ebert's review does not make sense because it's 4 minutes long. So this does let me cover that somewhere. So that's cool. But also, there were several other movies that were huge high-profile things that came out that same week. So think about, first of all, the gigantic success that Batman 89 was and what it opened against. Like, you never see stuff like this now.
Yeah.
89 opened... Again, did you see the list already?
I think I did.
Okay, because I was going to just let you be surprised by it, but if you already saw it,
I did.
Then I'll just mention it. It opens against Ghostbusters 2... which did not do big guns at the box office, and probably partly because of Batman. Yeah. But still nuts that those two things opened against each other, especially because Hollywood thinks that's a superhero franchise now. But Ghostbusters 2 opens... It's not, but they think that. Opens against Batman, as does Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild.
I haven't seen that movie forever.
Yeah.
I need to revisit it because I don't know if it has aged well.
I did not care for it the last time I tried to watch
Okay.
it. But that was like 11, 12 years ago now. So.
Yeah. That was probably when I first saw it.
CG Anime fan, I thought Ghostbusters 2 came out a week before Batman. Well, if it does, then they were late on it because they usually everything they review is out the week they're reviewing it.
Yeah.
You're right. Sometimes it didn't work out that way. But I mean, they reviewed every week, and so I just assumed that they were this. I didn't actually look this up, but the fact that they reviewed it all together made me think, even if not, it's crazy they would be a week apart even. Like, that's still kind of nuts. But let's go ahead and watch this episode, and you'll get to see their theme and how their interaction together and how they wrap shows up, and because you've never seen these guys.
I think I've seen like maybe some clip. I don't even know.
And I feel bad that I've not really introduced you to this stuff because it's kind of near and dear to me.
Sure.
And I think Roger Ebert's... I think the documentary about his life and his death is one of the greatest documentaries of all time.
Oh, yeah.
And I've always wanted to show you that, but you don't know anything about Ebert. So after you've seen a few of these, and I'll show you some of his written stuff. Because part of the reason I love Ebert is because he was such a great writer.
Oh, really?
And so he inspired me a lot, both in his on-camera stuff and his writing. Like, as a nonfiction writer, but also just as a writer.
Interesting.
So anyway, let's go ahead and get into this. And this is going to be unusual for me because I'm used to talking the whole time over things. And we're not actually going to do this time. So
yes, but we still will have things to say. We will not be those YouTubers that sit in a corner and go like
just
this.
stare at it. No.
And then move on.
But also try not to stop too often because I don't want this to take an hour and a half on a 20-minute video.
Sure.
So...
no, you're in charge of pausing, so...
Yeah. Do you think we should mute the mic when we're watching it?
No.
Okay. We'll just try not to talk over the thing. Yeah. That may be challenging for me. I'm not used to doing this, but we're gonna try it. Here we go.
This week, Siskel and Ebert review Caped Crusader Michael Keaton taking on Joker Jack Nicholson in Batman. Inventor Rick Moranis has to confess, "Honey, I Shrunk the Kids." Plus, Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd continue their war on slime in Ghostbusters 2. It's all coming up next on Siskel and Ebert.
And then they always have at least one or two others, and usually right at the end there'll be a foreign film. And so Siskel and Ebert were real big on getting the word out for stuff that people wouldn't go see otherwise. And if only we didn't have such a splintered culture and we still had something like this where people, like, you know, millions of people were looking at the same thing, it would help a lot of independent filmmakers and, like, smaller stuff that people don't, you know, pay attention to.
Yeah.
Maybe the rom-com wouldn't have died, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, here comes their intro. And by the way, this is like the second or maybe even third iteration at this point of the show.
Okay.
They start in local syndication in Chicago.
Wow.
And then eventually they become a nationwide thing, and the title of the show keeps changing. So, like, they're at the movies, and then they're Siskel and Ebert and the movies, and then I think by this point they're just Siskel and Ebert. Maybe and the movies is still technically in there, but everybody just refers to it this way, so...
Gotta love that city pop. You gotta love that saxophone.
And real quick, something to keep in mind with these guys is they were not friends initially, and they like always were at odds and argued with each other about stuff, and eventually they came to really respect and appreciate each other. But when they started, like, it was not their idea to come together and do this. They were at rival newspapers and all the way through. So one of you'll hear this, but like Ebert was Chicago Sun-Times, and Siskel was the Tribune.
Yeah. You've seen that like 500 times now. How many times do you think you've seen?
From out of the comic books and into the movies, the Cape.
If we talk over it, I don't know that people are going to be able to hear us very well.
Sure.
I'm not set up for that because I thought we weren't going to talk unless we were pausing it. How many times have I seen 89 at this point?
Yeah, just like
well over 100.
Okay.
Probably more than that. I'm not sure. Definitely 100. I would say it's a fair bet. 100.
Crusader opens his newest adventure in Batman, one of 4 new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel
Chicago.
of the Chicago Tribune. Our first film is the eagerly awaited Batman. Although it's far from perfect, it's the first summer spectacular that I've really enjoyed. I think that has to do with it not being a sequel, and also that there's some true originality in the film's art design, sound.
Gee, you think he's going to put his thumb down for Ghostbusters 2? He's like, I like Batman because it's not a sequel!
And performances. As been reported, this is a darker Batman, not at all like the campy 60s TV show. Jack Nicholson stars as criminal Jack Napier, here out to rob a chemical factory with the police and Batman, Michael Keaton, in pursuit.
Jayson!
Let him go, or I'll do Gordon.
Now, real quick, in their earlier show, in their syndicated show, they would, their local show, they would play much longer clips, and a lot more of the show would just be a clip of the movie, and then they would talk after it, and they didn't talk as much like over clips like they do with this. So he's got like a prepared statement. And then the format is he'll kind of read his prepped thing, and then they'll give their opinions and go at it.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, real quick. Okay, great. Says quick cap. What minute mark is that scene?
Yeah, you know what? I should have the whole slider memorized at this point. Can everybody hear this okay? That's a question, because I'm not actually looking at comments right now. It looks like nobody's having any troubles with it. About how they muted the swear word. That's a good point. But they were okay with Jesus. Oh, sorry. I'm being very unprofessional here.
Jesus.
Anyway, I don't remember what I was saying. Let's get back to this. Oh, I'm gonna guess the minute mark is 26. Around there, 26, 27.
Mm-hmm. Everybody says sounds good.
Good.
Nice outfit.
Nice
Jack
outfit.
Napier turns into the twisted character of the Joker after Batman throws him into a vat of acid, scarring his face. Thus, natural enemies are born.
Freak. Terrorizes. Wait till they get a load of me.
Out of uniform, Batman, of course, is millionaire Bruce Wayne, who draws the attention of photographer Vicky Vale,
I feel like they're showing the right scenes.
Yeah, they totally are.
by Kim Basinger. She's tipsy at the end of their first date.
I feel a little drunk. And you're not anything.
Hey, one drink and I'm flying.
Why are you afraid of flying?
The three main players are brought together when the Joker tries to disfigure Vicky Vale with acid as part of his crime wave.
I mean, I guess we've had a lot of debate about why he even does that in that scene. Like, Siskel makes it sound like it's part of his grand plan. Mm-hmm. But what he really wanted was ostensibly Vicky to be his photojournalist. And then she like resists him, and he's still acting like he's going to make her do it. And then she's like, no. And so he's like, oh, okay, how about a whiff of my posy? So, like, I don't know if he just... And then later he still goes to her place. Yeah. And is still pursuing her.
Yeah.
So, like, he doesn't try to kill her there. So, yeah, you know, it's not part of his grand scheme or anything. I think he sort of... The best I can come up with is he was just messing with her and expected her to duck. Like, that's the best I've got. I'm still talking about this. I mean, again, they're showing the stuff that would make you want to go see it.
Yeah.
Hold on.
The film plays down Batman's paraphernalia, save for the last act, a confrontation between...
Does it? Like, it plays it down? Like, I guess compared to the 60s show.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't agree with that. Like, plays it down in favor of what? Like, it's still not really that much of a detective thing. Like, he's sort of doing detective work, but, I mean, he's relying pretty hard on his technology and his gadgets.
Well, yeah, and I mean, the Batmobile that, like, takes forever to, you know, show off, like...
Yeah, he says that while showing... the scene in the Flugelheim right before we're going to get all that Batmobile stuff.
Yeah.
And then, like, see that thing on my belt, and where'd you get those wonderful toys? Like, save the third act?
Well,
Batman
Wonderful Toys
and
is
Joker
third
in the
act,
street
but...
Wonderful Toys is not third act. Wonderful Toys is that scene. That's midway through the movie.
Oh.
You're not in the third act yet.
No, sorry. I was mixing that up with balloons. Yeah, I don't know.
That's okay. You've not seen it 100 times.
No, I
Sky
haven't.
above Gotham City.
Now, this is a thing they would do where I think it's kind of odd that they're showing like the climax or something so close. This isn't the climax, but something so close to the climax.
Yeah.
The Batwing plane looks like a little model there. So does the Batmobile in some
That's because it is.
shots. Director Tim Burton obviously wants to recall the original comic book look as well as tell a more adult kind of story. And that adult approach is what I found so refreshing about this Batman movie. We have so many films these days that are being made for the teenage audience. Films that look like overblown TV shows. Here's a picture with adult stars, troubled characters, and a dark look. It's a shame that that approach has to be considered a risk these days, but I'm certainly glad the approach was taken. I enjoyed this Batman.
You said
I don't know. It's you want to have historical perspective with this stuff, but at the same time, it's always felt to me like it was as much for the teenage audience as it was the adults.
I think it
Because it's so toyetic and
I always
stuff.
felt like it was for both. You know, like, yeah, like you're saying. Like, I don't think it's really very much an adult movie.
Yeah, and especially doesn't feel that way as much now because it looks campier to us.
Yeah.
Looking back at it at this point, like when he says it's nothing at all like the '60s show. I know a lot of people, including Austin, that just don't agree with that. Like
Right.
on its phase.
Yeah.
But again, everything's about perspective, and it certainly felt that way then.
Yeah, definitely.
you enjoyed it more than any of the other entertainment pictures this summer. I certainly didn't think it was as much fun as the Indiana Jones film.
More for me.
And
I felt I've been through that one before.
as I looked at it, the thing
See, the problem with Last Crusade is it was a sequel.
that struck me most of all was the
I
art
love that
direction.
movie.
Gotham City
Absolutely.
in this movie is one of the original places in the movies. I thought
Yeah.
it was very well
Yes.
done. It reminded me of places like Metropolis in the movie
Right.
by Fritz Lang, or the futuristic Los Angeles in the movie Blade Runner by
Which is what everybody compares it to now, and I wonder if that would be the case if Ebert hadn't said it first. Because you hear Blade Runner in the same conversation I do it too with 89 all the time, and Ebert may have to have credit for that.
Ridley Scott. So I thought that the art direction was sensational. I thought that
Something that I really like about the show is that like every time they like mention movies, they're mentioning who made it. That's something that I really respect.
That's a great point. And during a time where people didn't pay as much attention to who was behind the camera.
Yeah.
And so they were educating the audience a lot on how these things were made and who made them. And they were such advocates for the movies that, especially the people that they thought were really great filmmakers, they wanted you to know their names.
Yeah.
But they also didn't pull punches when they thought their favorite filmmakers made crappy movies. So they would still tell you that it was them when that happened too.
Yeah.
So if Scorsese made a bad movie, Ebert, even though he was, that was a hero of his, would be like Scorsese made a bad movie.
Yeah.
Or Woody Allen or whoever it was.
the special effects were good. I thought those buildings looked like they went up 1.5 miles into the sky. I thought the dark film noir look of the film was very nice, but I didn't care about anything that happened in the movie. I never really found that these characters became people that I could get involved with. I felt that Nicholson, as the Joker, went on way too long. He was on too often. He was doing the same thing over and over.
And it's funny because he's ahead of his time when he says that, because a lot of people have that now.
Yeah.
And didn't necessarily have that
I just
then.
love Nicholson so much that, like, I don't... Yeah. I really don't have that. But that's... I mean, I feel like that's Nicholson with any movie. He's just Nicholson for the whole movie.
Yeah, but
like,
when he says he goes on too long, he means he's got too much screen time.
Sure.
He means, because Nicholson's not the protagonist. He's not the star of the movie. He's the star that sold the movie.
Yeah.
Most
and that's why they
assuredly.
had so much screen time, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Pros and cons guy, $2 super chat. So you're reviewers reviewing reviewers. I used to have a show called that. Okay,
yeah.
We used to do a competitive reality show called Who Reviews the Reviewers. We are already at 51 minutes. We were gonna try to do an hour. It's not gonna happen. I apologize, Jason.
Sorry.
But let's do 10 more minutes of this, and maybe we will go ahead and take our regular break.
All right.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back into this. We'll get at least through Batman.
where I found the relationship between Bruce Wayne and Vicky Vale didn't work at all, Kim Basinger and Michael Keaton. In fact, when she's in the Batcave and she sees for the first time that Bruce Wayne is in fact Batman, do you remember what her reaction
Spoilers.
was? She had no...
Yeah, and he does that a lot. But yeah, it is pretty wild that he spoils that.
Yeah.
Because, no, you're right, because that is some of the drama of that movie is she going to know?
Right.
And you get the scene where he tries to tell her and isn't able to tell her, and then she's going to find out later anyway. It is pretty crazy. He just straight out spoils that.
reaction.
I think
they
she
left
knew.
the reaction out of the film. They didn't even care that she was surprised.
No, she knew, and I think there are indications throughout the picture that these people know who they are in other lives, in other alter egos kind of situations.
What?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think that there's an indication of that at all. Maybe I think he's stretching and reading too deep into stuff. Maybe like Vicky in the Batmobile looking close at his face.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because if the idea is she's about already got it figured out, why isn't she, researching into him even harder at that point? Mm-hmm. Like, remember, the whole reason she's in Gotham is to figure out who Batman is.
Yeah.
Situations.
Well, I don't
it's very
know.
true
Listen,
between Batman and Jack Napier at the beginning of the film. When they give each other knowing looks, they're setting up a battle for the future.
Well, Gene, the thing, whether she knew who he was or not, is part of the...
He's BSing so hard right now.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate that Siskel enjoyed the movie more than Ebert did, but I don't think he's
for the right reason.
It's a little superficial, but I also get, like, you had the experience you had. This is the job, right? You have, as reviewing, you have, as a reviewer, you have the experience you have, and then you work your way backward and attempt to articulate why you felt that way. In a weird way, so much of reviewing is just self-psychoanalysis. Mm-hmm. This is how I felt. Why did I feel that way? Because, like, it's so subjective, it's hard to figure that out.
Yeah.
So when he goes, and everything is relative. So when he goes, I enjoyed it more than the other blockbusters. It felt of that summer. It felt original and it wasn't a sequel. So if it had come out in a year with, stuff like a Jaws or an Alien or, a RoboCop or something, he might not have liked it as well.
Yeah.
The suspension in these movies.
We have a super chat. $2.
Oh, I forgot to gong the last one.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me do that.
We got $2 from Dan Schneider.
Thanks, man.
Follow this up with their Spawn review. It is gold.
Yeah, I do want to do that at some point. I think, like I said, it would be probably a good idea to just do a composite of all the superhero movies. Mm-hmm. And we can take that into Ebert and Roper, too, because that gets you all the way to Batman Begins and a couple other ones after that. Ebert's Catwoman review was pretty funny.
Okay, yeah.
Because he's excited about how sexy she looks in that horrible cat suit, and so that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Anyway.
All of these movies, the superhero wears a mask that covers
Right.
the top half of his face. It's like RoboCop.
Right.
Well, anyone can see that it's Michael Keaton,
Right.
but the whole deal in the movie is that you're not supposed to notice that until the person takes off the mask and
But
you say,
I
"Oh
thought-
my
I
God,
thought
it's
that the Michael-
Bruce Wayne."
All right, but
so
what-
she didn't know.
That isn't the whole business of the picture. I thought that the Bruce Wayne character was a fascinating guy. Rather than playing this as a strong man, I thought it was interesting to show this guy as sort of conflicted and nervous about it, and that's why he goes into this big pose.
And that's a good point.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's not at all what you'd expect, and it's the reason people didn't buy Michael Keaton until they saw it.
Yeah.
It's like, what is even the direction you're taking this movie? It's so strange.
Yeah. Well, and I
That's a
think,
modern...
like, he was like, to think that it's a risk to make an adult movie is weird. Well, I don't think that was the only risk.
True.
With that movie.
Well, especially because it's Tim Burton, as I've talked about 100 times, it's Tim Burton going, we're not going to get in the protagonist's head at all. Like, you're going to be walled off from him. He's so much of a recluse. And so the thing that made a lot of people, like Ebert, feel like you're not looking at a real person is the thing that I think Siskel is actually picking up on and finding, as he says, fascinating. Mm-hmm. The problem is you can't do a character study that way.
Yeah. Sure.
And so then you get into the debate of, is the character wooden, or is the character like psychologically complex in a way that the audience can't possibly understand, and so we just don't actually get into it. Yeah. And like, is that a cop out? Is it okay to tell a story that way?
Touch that I wasn't surprised about. I'll tell you this much about the film. It's not only a dark film, which you're right about, a film noir, but also there's a great deal of hostility and anger in this film. There's a great deal of bad feeling in it. And it's not a film for children. You call it an adult film. Another way to put it is, it's not for kids. It's an extremely disturbing film.
Don't you find that?
We've gotten so desensitized at this point that, like, I'll show this to 5-6-year-old kids, but when I was 5, my mom didn't let me watch it by myself. Mm-hmm. So that was the prevailing feeling and wisdom at that point. It seems quaint now. He's almost calling it mean-spirited. You know, he says, like, bad feeling. And I think the thing you have to keep in mind is that Gotham is supposed to be a corrupt, terrible place. It's like, there would be bad feeling in that place.
Well, this was only, 5 years after PG-13 was created?
That's a good point, too.
So, and this is when PG-13 was like, actually, you need to be 13. You know, like, this is,
But it's a tame PG-13 if it comes out now.
Yeah, definitely. But, like, PG-13 was so close to R. Mm-hmm. And now it's like way closer to PG with PG-13.
Well, wait a minute. Aren't you glad to be disturbed? And you know how I mean that.
I would have been glad to be disturbed by a film that made me care, that was able to get to not only use its special effects, but to encompass and surpass the special effects with a story. Because the one thing Spielberg knows in his special effects pictures is...
But that's a fair point, and I don't fully agree with his take on this, of course, but if you feel like it's all just spectacle and it's not feel good, then it's like what is the point? Mm-hmm. So I kind of get that.
You've got to have strong characters and a strong story, or the special effects simply become something nice to look at.
I felt that I had entered a...
George Lucas said that, and then he made movies that were that.
Complete world, a psychological world, and a visual world. I bought it. The ending runs on too long. That I agree with you in story construction. It's that problem of the third act that a lot of action pictures have.
Well, I don't understand that. Like, the third act runs on too. Like, the third act is incomprehensible and just kind of wanders around until it figures out how to get to the end. But I don't know that it's long.
I think I agree with him.
Do you have that? Oh, is it just it takes too long to get up the cathedral? Like, what's...
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
And
he's injured.
The balloons and getting up to the cathedral, and then the roof scene is too long, and then, like, it's too many steps.
Okay. Literally too many steps.
But also too many steps to get to the end.
Okay.
I admire, as we can agree on one thing, we admire the look of the picture. Yeah. We just don't know if we agree on whether it works or not.
We don't agree.
We don't agree. Coming up next, the suburban scientist experiment goes wrong, and honey, I shrunk the kids.
The machine works? Do the kids know?
Well, yeah, the kids know.
Next movie is named...
They were so over the top in that movie. Okay, let's go ahead and go to a break. We'll come back and we'll watch the rest of this. I don't know if we'll go a full 2 hours, but we'll go ahead and take a break anyway.
Yeah.
So thanks for hanging out with us. I don't know. I guess we could have just done Batman and left it there. This could have been the hour, but there's another 12 minutes of this.
Yeah.
And we won't pause as much, probably
not.
Because obviously I've always got a lot to say about it.
Well, and I haven't seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids since I was like 5. And then I haven't even seen that 4th movie. And Ghostbusters 2, I don't know super well, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of their dynamic together, though?
They hate each other. It's so good.
But, like, you can see why they were hugely popular.
Yeah. Yeah, because they didn't really, like... I don't know. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good television, but also, like, it's good because it, you get it. You get a look into the movies, and then you're like,
Yeah, it's two very different perspectives.
Yeah.
So most people are gonna be more of an Ebert or more of a Siskel.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are themselves their own arch nemesis.
Mm-hmm. It's just interesting because
and a good duo.
It's both like informative and entertaining, and I think that's what makes
exactly. Alex, they could be so passive aggressive to each other. Yeah, exactly. And I think that was a lot of the charm of it for people.
Yeah.
Because like they could be biting and seem to, like you said, kind of hate each other, but you can also tell that there's like a lot of respect and admiration in there also. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we'll be right back in 3 to 4 minutes. Thanks for hanging out, and don't know Mike, go nowhere. And we're back. It's time for the second half, thereabouts, of tonight's edition of the Captain Logan Show. And tonight we are watching the 1989 episode of Siskel and Ebert that reviewed Batman 89, and we've already passed that part. So now we're going to look at the other reviews that Siskel and Ebert did on this episode. And the next one is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So let's go and just get right into this. And when we finish, if we've got a little time, we'll do some Q&A if there's anything in particular you guys want to talk about. And so feel free to throw in super chats and regular comments as usual. And make sure to tag Jayson at Jayson with a Y, or he'll assume you're talking to some other Jayson. Here we go.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and it tells the story of a suburban scientist played by Rick Moranis who invents a new machine that would be able to shrink things down to microscopic size if only he could get it to work. One day a neighborhood kid hits a baseball through the window and it bounces.
I guess they always go that close on his face, but because it did this, it felt like they needed to go like deeper in than necessary.
Also interesting, you had Ghostbusters 2 and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Rick Moranis is in both of them.
Right next to each other.
And I don't know if they addressed that. I don't know if they mentioned it.
Maybe.
Did they come out two weeks apart?
2 weeks in a row. Yeah.
Or did you look it up?
Well, Ghostbusters 2 was a week before this, and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was this week.
But how do you know that?
Because people in the chat.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see that in the chat, and we were talking earlier about whether or not they came out a week apart, and just suddenly now you know, so I wasn't sure how you knew that.
Yeah. Multiple people said that. So
oh, sweet. Okay.
Like,
I didn't see that. The way I've got this set up, I'm not looking at the chat as much when we're looking at this video.
Off the machine, it deflects the laser beam somehow, and suddenly the invention works all too well, shrinking both of Moranis' kids and 2 neighbor kids until they're smaller than an ant. They're almost invisible, and they get thrown out with the garbage.
I don't think people appreciate just how much practical effects Rick Moranis had to work with. Like, if you think about it, like, he was a comedy actor, but he was an effects actor.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, going all the way back to Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
So an ordinary backyard turns into a jungle for them, and life is terrifying when a bee takes 2 of the kids on a wild ride.
This freaked me out when I was a kid.
Right.
And so did the cereal bowl. I think I had nightmares about the cereal bowl. Like, that you would be swimming in cereal and somebody would eat you.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie's kind of freaky. Okay, that looks way better than I remembered it.
What's that?
The bee looks really good.
One of the movie's best sight gags is when Moranis almost eats his own son for breakfast.
Once again, they're showing all the right scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Just gotta keep our eyes on.
You know what this looks a lot like? By the way, the score there is awesome. The effect that they're doing to superimpose the kids in the cereal bowl, it's Mike TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
As you can see from those clips, the special effects in this movie are really well done. The movie essentially takes us to the same world as such films as The Incredible Shrinking Man, which came out in 1957. And so you can see that movie special effects have made a lot of progress since then. This movie demonstrates that. The blades of grass look like palm trees. There's a friendly ant that looks amazingly realistic, and so forth.
Thanks, Roger Ebert. we couldn't tell that just looking at it.
Oh, man.
It's like he's talking to people that have not seen a movie in 30 years.
Yeah.
It's like special effects have come a long way. Have you seen Jaws or Alien or Predator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the movie's storytelling ability is not the equal of the special effects. For me, this is the same problem as with Batman. There's not much of a sense of fun in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Except I agree with him on this one. I'm not with sense of fun, but the characters are real one note and kind of nothing.
They are, but I just love how he said the same thing with this as he did with Batman.
Yeah, but at least he copped to it.
Yeah.
He's just like, look, once again, I've got the same problem. And you know what, Siskel's good. So I don't know if Siskel agrees with Ebert on that point. I can't remember. We'll see in a second. But it would be really funny if he was like, well, I'm going to fight you on the same thing. I thought the characters were very interesting. And then he gets to Ghostbusters 2 and he's like, crap, it's a sequel. I do know how they feel about Ghostbusters 2, the both of them.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, yes, I do.
Not enough silliness and wild imagination. And when they do get a good idea, like having Moranis suspend himself above the backyard to circle around looking for the kids, they let it run on so long we get tired of it. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids looks good, but it's a disappointment.
I don't even know if it looks good. For me, it came out of that old white bread environment of the old Disney live-action films, which I thought was quite boring, and I started to see it come back in this way. The people didn't seem to me to be very bright for kids. I mean, I would have thought that if they had been put...
You said this movie was too white bread. I just want to throw that out there.
I thought that's so funny. That is even worse than I thought it would be.
So they're gonna agree on this one. I don't even know if it looks good. Well, so and funny. I have a hard time with the historical perspective with that, where it's like you can obviously see the seams a lot more now than you would have then, but there was groundbreaking stuff that hadn't been attempted before.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm an adult in 1989, which of those guys I'm with.
Yeah.
Placed in this actual situation, that the dialogue between the kids would have been a lot sharper and smarter. For example, they're mowing the kids are now real tiny, right? They're in the grass. They're mowing the...
He's right about this, where the kids feel real kind of dumbed down. And I think now, again, it's been...
That was always my biggest problem with the movie, honestly.
It's been over a decade, but the people just didn't talk like real people at all, and the dialogue was kind of on the level of a Twister or something.
Yeah.
Lawn.
All right. Get that
now
bad.
They're running away from the lawnmower. Well, once a lawnmower passes you, it would seem logical to me that you say, hey, look, the grass is cut. Let's go there now, and we can walk more quickly across. There isn't that kind of interchange. Kids are that smart.
You know, you're right, Gene, and on a larger level, they don't have any master plan. Like, here we are, what can we do?
Right.
I mean,
but that's what kids would do.
Yeah, he's right. Like, where's the ingenuity? So it ends up being just dragging them through like they're on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So it's like the whole thing's a ride because you want it to be a ride for the audience, but they kind of miss the boat where the audience should be on the ride through the eyes of characters that are doing stuff. Yeah. I completely agree with them on that. Having admittedly not seen that in a while.
Yeah, once they're in the grass, they just walk around and adventures happen to them so that they're not trying to figure out what they can do to save themselves.
And kids in the audience for whom this film is intended, I'm not just saying this as an adult, I'm saying for kids are that sharp that they will be figuring out what they would do in that situation. This thing needed to be written with a much brighter cast of characters.
I think you're right. One more thing we ought to mention is that in its current release around the country, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is being accompanied by a color cartoon named Tummy Trouble. Now that shouldn't be news. In the old days there was always a cartoon before the feature, but that was back before greed took over and they didn't want to let you have that extra 6 minutes, you know, get you out there and sell you some more popcorn.
You didn't know what?
That it had a cartoon before.
I always forget about that. I remember them talking about this now, but I forgot it was with this movie specifically.
And get you in again. No, nothing that you haven't actually paid for could possibly be shown to you. Tummy Trouble is a return engagement for last summer's animated hero, Roger Rabbit, who once again is assigned to babysit for baby Herman and panics when the little...
Have you ever seen this?
No, I haven't.
Toddler swallows a rattle. The trip to the hospital turns into a nightmare, but the cartoon is basically just a retread.
Otherwise, you're going back to the science lab.
Of the Roger Rabbit cartoon, which opened Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's fun. I was glad to see it, but it's not worth the trip all by itself.
Well, no, I wouldn't pay a full admission to see a 7-minute cartoon, but that isn't an indictment of...
You idiot.
The cartoon as much as a physical fact that it's only 7 minutes long. I enjoyed it. I wish there were more of them. The amount of attention that we have to spend on it is dictated by the fact that it is unusual to have a single cartoon there. I loved it. I'd like to see it again. I loved when he goes racing through the hospital wings and the doors start flapping open. It just recalled what I loved about cartoons in the first place.
Gene, I just got a news release that they're going to make some new Tom and Jerry cartoons.
Right.
And Tom and Jerry are going to talk this time.
They're going to
now
talk.
That to me is a demonstration of complete...
Yeah, wait until you see the movie, too.
Yeah.
That's gonna be unfortunate. Because you're going to have this attempted big return for classic cartoons in the form of big budget, like theatrical movies.
I don't think they ever worked.
And they weren't good, most of them. Like, they really lambasted Jetsons. Have you ever seen that? I saw that.
I haven't.
I saw that.
I mean, I saw Flintstones, but I didn't see Jetsons.
When he says bad feelings, like he should have reserved that for that movie.
Okay, I gotta watch that.
It's depressing.
bankruptcy.
Yeah.
The whole funny thing about these cartoons was that they were sound effects and mime.
And therefore otherworldly. So it took you into a whole other realm than normal movies.
But wouldn't it be great if they just showed a cartoon before every movie that's made for a family audience anyway? Because there are thousands of them in existence. They don't even have to go make any more.
The best thing about cartoons from that era is that anybody who spoke any language could understand what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, Tom and Jerry,
Wile E. Coyote.
The Meep guy.
That would be the Roadrunner. He's got a movie this year. We're going to review it.
Yeah.
You're going to that, by the way.
Yeah. But so that's another thing that I really don't think those needed big movies like that. And yeah, I don't know why you showed me the Flintstones movie, but I've seen that.
I don't know why I showed you that either. Yeah, it's not great. I was like a little nostalgic for it from when I was a kid because that was a huge release when that came out.
Yeah,
and
I didn't even know they made a Jetsons movie.
I think I was I mean, and again, it was animated.
Okay.
But I think I was because I always wanted them to do a live action one and they never did it. But I think I was just curious to go back to it. And didn't know if it held up or not. And then we watched it together, and it did not hold up great.
Coming up next, the Ghostbusters gang of 4 return to fight slime in New York in Ghostbusters 2.
That is indeed what happens in Ghostbusters 2. They fight slime. Okay, get ready for this.
Yeah, I'm guessing that they hate it. Because they don't like
sequels.
sequels.
Our next film is Ghostbusters 2, the sequel to the best-selling movie comedy of all time, and it's a major disappointment. And what's so surprising is that the film contains little comic energy or invention. It looks as if the filmmakers, particularly the writers, simply didn't try to do anything special. The 4 Ghostbusters reassemble 5 years later to destroy a river of psychoreactive slime that has invaded New York City. Here they talk to the slime.
I have seen some disgusting crud in my time, but you take the cake. You're just...
This is what you do with your spare time.
Peter, this is an incredible breakthrough. I mean, what a discovery, a psychoreactive substance. Whatever this stuff is, it responds to human emotional states.
Mood slime.
The story is virtually the same as the original, save for the introduction of a baby, the infant son of Sigourney Weaver, who Bill Murray is still pursuing. She's divorced.
She's divorced.
She's divorced. That's a sequel trope I hate, by the way.
The baby.
It's just, what do we do with a sequel? I don't know. Throw a baby in it.
Yeah.
Like, you're off on the wrong foot with me immediately. Now, I like Ghostbusters 2 fine.
Yeah.
And the last couple times I saw it, it held up a lot better than some years before that when I had kind of a bad watch with it. And so for a while I was kind of in that camp of, I guess people are right. Ghostbusters 2 is bad and it's just a carbon copy of the first movie. Like, it has some of those problems, but I'm much more middle of the road on it now. It used to be, I was never like these guys on it though.
Sure.
What do you think?
Well, he's ugly. I mean, he's not Elephant Man ugly, but he's not attractive. Was his father ugly?
Don't listen.
Murray is really forced to carry most of the movie with his wisecracks. The film really could have used more byplay between Rick Moranis and Annie Potts, 2 Ghostbusters assistants, babysitting and romancing.
I think motherhood's a...
Really? That's what Ghostbusters 2 was missing? Was more romance with them? Because that was a huge misstep for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that really got wrong.
Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers. Now, they're funny together.
Yeah. You don't need more of it, though, I don't think.
No, and she was too reinvented.
Yeah.
And then the cartoon show based her on that movie, not the first one.
Yeah.
And so then, like with this, all of the, Egon stuff is gone. Why didn't we run with that?
Mm-hmm.
Very natural.
In fact, I never had this thought before. You know what would have been, sorry, you know what would have been smart with Ghostbusters 2? Mm-hmm. The first movie, you do the romance stuff with Venkman and Sigourney Weaver's character, right?
Yeah.
And then what if in the sequel the romance is, and it would be unlikely, it'd be hard to pull it off, but what if the romance was her and Egon?
Yeah.
And Venkman was a little bit more in the background. But instead of doing the stupid, Sigourney Weaver has to, have a relationship that didn't work, and so now,
She's divorced.
Yeah, now Venkman's back in horning it on her again, and because that's one of the things that feels too much like the first movie is now we're just doing that again. What if they're like actually together and allowed to be together through the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Instinct. I like a child myself. Would you?
Now that scene isn't much, but it's appealing because it's at least different from the original picture. The rest of this movie, save for the introduction of the baby, is virtually a carbon copy with the Ghostbusters battling the slime as well as a 16th century demon hiding in a painting in a New York museum. The Ghostbusters seem tired.
Just like the first movie.
Yeah.
Of what's going on. The special effects seem all too familiar. I know it isn't true, but the movie comes across as if the guys were filming the first draft of a script.
I agree.
So I don't understand what he means by the special effects are familiar. Like, do you mean they feel too dated in 5 years ago?
No, maybe.
Like,
or they just feel like the first movie again.
Yeah, but I always felt like the slime stuff was real provocative and quite a bit different from the first movie. And that stuff stuck with me as a kid and was kind of scary. Like the I'm talking about things from this year that gave me nightmares. But remember, I was like 5 or 6. Particularly the slime in the bathtub with the baby, like that actually got to me a little bit. And I know I wasn't the only one. I've talked to people that was weird for. Yeah. And so I don't know.
Well, like
that did its job.
Yeah, like none of that was in the first movie. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things it does well that the first movie does is that it's a comedy that still has a bit of a horror edge to it. So the stuff that's supposed to be scary actually is. Mm-hmm. What are you gonna say?
He has an interesting point there where he says that it feels like they're just filming the first draft.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I haven't seen this movie in a minute, but
I think there's truth to that.
Yeah.
I agree with you completely. This movie is a total disappointment. No thought went into it. No effort went into it. There's no comedy in it.
Holy
and
crap.
It's just a critic sitting there in, I don't believe in reviewing the audience. You and I both think that, we have our own opinions. But I did go to see it in a real movie theater in Michigan with several hundred people, and they sat through the entire movie. They were there to have a good time. There was one laugh. One laugh in 2 hours.
I only laughed once. I laughed at the line about Laura Antonelli. I thought that was funny, but that's a movie.
That's an in-joke. I mean,
sure
you and I, might know who she is, but how many Ghostbusters fans necessarily do? This movie is a complete disappointment.
There's no comedy in it. Wow.
That's pretty funny. Honestly, like that, yeah.
This is a demonstration of the bankruptcy of sequels. If you're going to make a sequel, you have to think it through. You don't just want to repeat it. You don't want to do the same thing again. And
I was very surprised.
See, I think it's more complicated than that. I think there is bankruptcy, and I think that there is some originality also.
Yeah.
The baby thing is bankruptcy.
They don't agree with that. Like, they think that the baby is the...
Yeah, just because it wasn't in the original. Yeah. But I mean, like... But the villain plot is very different. I mean, like, you're going to have to fight a ghost, obviously.
Right. Well, and I think maybe there have just been so many... Like, we're at 40 years from then.
Yep.
Now.
Isn't that
almost.
nuts?
So, there have been so many... Like, everything is sequels. Like, they thought everything was sequels then.
Yeah.
Everything is sequels now. And so I think Ghostbusters 2 is, like... the least of the,
again, everything's relative.
Yeah. And so, but I kind of get where they're coming from being then, but like now it's like, well, especially after, 2016 and Afterlife and, Ghostbusters 2 is not a retread of the first movie. If you have 2016 and Afterlife, compared to those two movies. So
but I also think that if you were Ebert and he had lived to see that, with his perspective on 2, he would just look at this whole franchise like it's Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Like, there's no legs in it. Yeah. There's no reason to do anymore. You're just... and like the way people talk about Star Wars now. Yeah, where it's like, there's just no... You had that one story, that was it. There's nothing else to tell.
Which, honestly, I could see. I could see somebody making that argument.
I could too, but very often that argument is just made based on we haven't seen it done well yet. And I think Ghostbusters is a clear franchise that we're just not exploiting properly. I think Jurassic Park is a hard sell. Is any story past what happens in that first movie, because that premise is so based on just one specific story.
Sure.
Ghostbusters, why on earth could you not tell a story about franchising? Like, if you lean into the business stuff, there's so many different stories to tell.
Yeah, totally.
Surprised because
I was shocked.
I figure, where's the effort?
Yeah.
You know you have a home run going in if you make a decent picture. How cynical to not even try.
Yeah.
When we come back, a movie named Kung Fu Master, which is not about...
See, I don't think that's fair.
That's all they said.
Like, that they didn't even try. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair at all.
I think they struggled.
Yeah, well, and also
Now, is the script not refined enough, like, compared to that first movie? I agree with that. Like, when he says first draft, but it's not a bad first draft.
Right.
Like, even if I agreed with that, it's not creatively bankrupt the way they're... Even in 1989, I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, here's my problem with just criticizing movies in general.
Dad, here's my issue with your job.
So, they put together a 2-hour movie. Like, that's just kind of a big deal. You know? Like, they made a thing.
Your standards are so low when you say that, though.
Sure.
Like, what does that
mean?
mean?
You have to, like...
So it can't be criticized because it was made? And
No.
Hit a runtime? I don't understand.
You totally can...
I don't understand.
You totally can say, this is horrible, I don't want to watch this again, because I wasn't entertained. But...
Oh, you're saying it's not fair to throw everybody involved under the bus like nobody gave a crap?
Right, because...
Yeah, I agree with that. Of course.
I mean, they spent a lot of time and money on it.
You're saying they're too dismissive even if the product didn't come together.
Yeah, and people...
You're saying they're assuming intent, and that's unfair.
Yeah.
And there are products where I feel... Obviously, there are people involved that are doing the best job they can do when you get into, like, set designers and lights and grips and everything. Like, but I think there are movies... where you can tell that the creatives are not there for the right reasons.
Sure.
I don't understand where they're getting that with Ghostbusters 2.
But it's still, like, it's a big, like, they made a huge, like, they made a project, and let's congratulate that, and now let's rip it apart, you know? I don't think that's done enough, but... I
think that's a terrific point. Bob the Hunt, it can be criticized, but you have to have some humility. It takes a lot of effort to make a bad movie. I get what Jayson is getting at. Plush DX says, understandable, Jayson. Yeah, good job. I agree. Robotters, their Trek reviews are hilarious if you watch them in order of movie release. Oh, we're doing that one at some point.
I have not seen those.
Absolutely. We got to do more of this. I apologize for the fact that the Captain Logan show is about to just turn into this. Anyway.
About Kung Fu, but about a very unconventional love affair.
Never seen this.
Yeah.
Don't know this movie at all, but we'll write this out and finish it.
Julien.
Our next movie is a subtle, delicate, and very complicated love story with the unlikely title of Kung Fu Master, directed by the French filmmaker Agnes Varda.
So like I said, this is usually what they do. Is the last movie on the list will be a at least obscure to us foreign film that they're trying to get exposure and let people know. Now that's not fair because sometimes they'll give them bad reviews, but they always go to international movies too.
Whose movie Vagabond was on both of our best 10 lists a couple of years ago. It stars her son, Matthew Demi, and tells the story of a brief and doomed but sweet and gentle love affair between a 14-year-old boy and a 40-year-old woman. As the film begins, the boy is still at the age when video games like Kung Fu Master are the most important thing in his life.
Can you just try to remember it's French? Okay.
And in the 80s.
He hasn't yet started to notice girls. Then at a party at a friend's home, he notices the...
Did you hear what he said, though? Brief and doomed.
Friend's mother singing a lullaby to her sick daughter. Somehow, this strikes him very deeply. It seems unlikely or even impossible, but these two people do fall in love with one another, at least for a time.
Lucie n'est pas là, elle est chez son père. C'est pas pour Lucie. Mais c'est pour nous. Pour nous et moi. Pour moi aussi, j'en ai pris 3.
Again, it's French. Okay.
Oh, we got a super chat. We got $10
Oh, let's go ahead and hit that real quick.
from Teddy.
Oh, thanks, Teddy. What's up, buddy?
Look, I know Siskel and Ebert are the Beatles of criticism to most people.
Yeah.
But I never liked their takes on specifically slasher type horror movies.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I understand that. Oh, hold on. Gotta move my water bottle. I still can't get this right. What is happening here? I can't go. Cap can't gong. There we go. I just gone. Anyway, so they were a bit prudish about horror movies back then. Again, I think there is a bit of historical perspective that you got to have with it because the slasher genre was new, and I think it was somewhat understandable. I'm in a little bit of a devil's advocate place with this because even though I'm not a big horror guy and I kind of understand where they're coming from more than a lot of people do, I also don't agree with just how prudish they were about it. Mm-hmm. But I kind of get it from their perspective because they don't want movies to be just like heartless, soulless shock fests. Mm-hmm. And they worried that the fact that those things existed and were getting popular would seep more into other genres and would just become movies. I think that was part of it. I don't think they liked that a lot of kids and teenagers especially, were getting into that kind of stuff and not looking at what they thought of as like real meaty movies that would like teach them something, make them think about things. And so it was difficult for them to grasp the idea of ultra violent escapist cartoon.
Sure.
Which is what a lot of those things were. And that's where they get into hot water looking kind of hypocritical. And again, from their perspective, I get why that happened, and I think it would be really difficult to be consistent all the time. So Ebert talked all the time about good trash, and there's a lot of stuff that because he understood where it was coming from and liked it on the level of what it was trying to achieve, that was like trashy, but he enjoyed it. People didn't understand why he couldn't do that with a lot of horror films, and it's because that level of intense gore and violence and all of that, but not being intended to really be taken seriously, I think kind of went over those guys' heads in the same way as I think a lot of what they considered like mindless and uncreative children's stuff went over their heads, because they talked about the 1990 Ninja Turtles like it was as bereft as a lot of slashers that they saw.
Interesting.
And like they just didn't get it.
Yeah.
And I think there's actually, and I've talked about this a lot, but like there's actually a real story in that movie. I don't think it's fair to call it uncreative, and they didn't appreciate even the puppetry and the effects work in that movie. Mm-hmm. And so it's like some of that stuff they couldn't help but come into with their minds made up already. Mm-hmm. And they would always talk about why that's bad, that you got to give everything its due, and they claimed to never want to dislike something. And they had a bias that they didn't even always see.
Yeah.
And so, yes, there was hypocrisy with it. And they couldn't help that, and they couldn't see it. And I think as Ebert got older anyway, because of course Siskel dies in, I think, 98, but past that, I think Ebert got like a lot softer and a lot more open-minded about some of that stuff as he got older.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yeah.
Thanks for the super chat, man. Yeah. We'll write this out real quick.
With this movie,
yes, sir.
This Kung Fu Master movie, I think the
why is it called that?
The only reason I know that this movie exists, is because I looked up a couple years ago. I was trying to see if there was a movie about video games that had a Criterion release. And this was the only one.
Weird.
And I didn't even know what this was, but
well, it sounds like it should be based on an NES game, because like NES had a game called Kung Fu.
I think they even had a game called Kung Fu Master.
Maybe so.
Léon.
No, that was.
But what will happen now? Aren't their feelings immoral and illegal, or are they actually pure and idealistic?
Well, it'd be a fact if it's illegal. So there's not really a question there. Like even if it's pure, but if it's illegal, then it doesn't matter if it's pure because it's a...
Sheila.
The movie is based on a story by Jane Birkin, the actress in that scene, who has said that when she was a teenager, she developed a great closeness with an older man and that this was one of the warmest experiences of her life. But how can the innocence of that feeling be translated into a movie, especially one that seems uncomfortably close to the subject of child molestation? There is no way that I can describe what a delicate line Agnes Varda draws in this film between the pure and the profane, between what is right and what is wrong. But this is a movie about the idealism of love, about the possibility of love between two completely different people. It has humor and warmth.
Like, as immediately put off as we are with our modern sensibilities to that as a subject,
yeah,
you gotta be able to tell a story about anything that happens. And so, like, challenging it doesn't mean you're saying it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It means you're going, this is a thing that happens, let's explore it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
You know? And so I always appreciate, and like, I haven't seen this movie. Like you can look at things like this and be like, well, you're walking and he's talking about walking a line. You're walking a line between like exploring something uncomfortable that really happens versus like condoning it or accidentally appearing to condone it. So like that's tough. That gets sticky. But I think you gotta appreciate anybody that takes the risk to tackle uncomfortable like real life things that like everybody has made their mind up about, and properly so.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's not good to then just never talk about it. And
yeah,
like as again uncomfortable and like difficult as it is, there are still like there's still more than one side to even this, as weird as that is to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't make it okay.
Oh, sorry.
Why does this have to be the thing at the end of this review?
We got another $10 super chat from Teddy.
Okay, let's hit that real quick.
Also, this is a late reaction, but
yeah.
I love Jason's wow after Ebert describes the plot of the weird French love story movie.
I really enjoyed that as well. That was hilarious. What blindsided me too. That was the last thing I thought we were gonna have to deal with here. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's finish this out.
Warmth and sweetness in it, and a quiet romanticism, and of course it has an unhappy ending because society forbids relationships like this. Kung Fu Master doesn't defend the relationship, it simply describes it.
Well, I like the picture because I think
see, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. It simply describes it.
Yeah, and I like that he brings that up too. Like,
yeah, that like make observations.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to tell it like it is.
Yeah.
It's a great way of talking about how people do fall in love by looking into another corner with two characters that you wouldn't think would fall in love. Mm-hmm. And that's what's refreshing for me. I don't view it as a argument for this kind of relationship. I say the emotions...
I should just let these guys talk, sorry.
They're pure there, and so it's a way, rather than standard movie character, we're so used to the people who should get together being put together in a movie that this was refreshing. It opens up the whole subject of the way people react to each other. Also, it's a terrific commentary, I think, on the whole video, this whole video thing, which is where this Kung Fu Master comes from. He loves to play video games. Now he's moving into the world away from games and into the world that this woman is dragging him into, this world of human relationships.
The one thing that I think
you also got to understand that they watch so many movies.
Yeah.
So I think that it is easier for them to say, oh, this movie's horrible and this movie sucks and but this movie is different. So that's why
it's refreshing because it's not the same thing I've seen 100 times in the last 3 months.
Because they see 4 movies a week. So yeah.
So this reminds me, there's another reaction stream I really want to do with you, and I don't want to tell you too much about it because I want you to just react to it. But there's a video I found about, that's a collection of news segments about Nintendo in the 80s.
Oh, interesting.
And some of them will be segments you've seen, and some of them will be, a lot of them you won't, because I watched the whole thing. It was an hour long.
Wow.
Don't watch it before we do
I
it,
won't.
because I want to see your in-the-moment reaction. I actually forgot about it. I was going to have us do it some night that Austin's not around. That was the thing I was going to try to do with you last Friday.
Oh.
And then you had a dance thing and you couldn't do it. And
Yeah.
so I had to come up with something else, so I did Dreamcast Spider-Man. But anyway, this just reminded me of that, because this was actually around that same time period when some of those segments happened, and something that all the adults were saying around the video game craze that starts with Nintendo is they always referred to it as video. And I thought that was weird. Like you'd hear somebody say like the video craze at the same time as like VHS is a thing.
Yeah.
And these guys would talk about video rentals and stuff, but every time they say video, they mean video games?
Yeah, that's really weird.
And so it's always kind of
weird.
weird.
Short. It's like short for it. A TV game.
Oh, yeah, you remember the TV game?
Yeah.
Struck a chord with me in this film is the way that each person idealizes the other one by focusing on the part of the other one that they think is perfect.
Or that they need, which they need.
She sees this boy's enthusiasm, his innocence, his youth. He sees her caring, her warmth. He's a very lonely little boy.
His parents are out of town. He wants a mother.
What they've done here, and not only is Agnes Varda's son in the movie, but Jane Birkin's daughter is in the movie, too. We ought to mention that. Two of her children are in this movie. That these women have really worked together to write and direct this film to try to take what would seem to be a completely taboo subject and handle it in a way that is actually very moving, even though...
I also think they have a predilection for being more positive and maybe arguably less critical of a lot of foreign films because they're not part of the Hollywood system and in that crock pot of kind of samey things that come out all the time. So like, especially by this point, they're complaining so hard about how sanitized movies in America have gotten that, to your point, a lot of things outside of America feel refreshing to them just because other countries have different sensibilities in their filmmaking.
Yeah.
And different modern convention.
Yeah.
Because describe it is very hard.
That's because the subject isn't older, younger relationships, which is usually handled in a pretty tawdry way. It's love. Love, pure and
tawdry. You only get that in Chicago.
Simple. Now let's recap our reactions to the movies on this show. A split vote on Batman. We both agree that the special effects, art direction, and sound of the film are special. Wow. I enjoyed the dark approach to the adult characters too, but Roger didn't care enough about them. Down for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the incredible shrinking children in the backyard story. 2 more downturned thumbs, way down for Ghostbusters 2, the sequel that doesn't even really try to be entertaining. But 2 thumbs up for Agnes.
Disagree.
Varda's Kung Fu Master, a compelling love story between an unlikely.
That title had an exclamation point.
Yeah, Kung Fu Master.
That French title had an exclamation point.
Yeah, and the poster for it is really funny.
Really?
Yeah.
Couple, and I think you're off on Batman. I think you had a better time. You know, it's a smarter movie, a more. You felt like you were being directed, didn't you?
You know,
really?
Gene, if you're so good at telling me I had a better time and what I felt and how I thought, I don't know why it's necessary for me to be here on this show.
I've thought about that too.
Obviously, I'm wrong about my opinions, and you know exactly what I really thought.
But
holy crap!
I'm telling you this.
It is weird of Siskel to say stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, now come on, you had a better time. Like, trying to kind of discredit him, where it's like you're just making up something so that you can, for whatever reason, make this movie look bad or something. Mm-hmm. That's a bit of an unnecessary low blow. They both will do that kind of thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that movies can give us is a thing or a place or an experience we haven't had before, and I got that out of Batman.
Okay,
I love the look of Gotham City. I'm just telling you that the drama wasn't the equal of the production.
I think the look of the film is stronger, but the story is good enough. That's it for this week. Next week, a special edition, a program devoted to...
It's so weird that, like, I agree with Siskel in giving 89 a thumbs up, but, like, Ebert's criticisms are correct.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Siskel's reasoning is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The video discoveries, movies on home video that we've enjoyed and you may not have heard about. That means they're good and they're also on the shelf. That's next week. And until then, the balcony is closed.
Scotty Brothers Pictures proudly presents the rock and roll film of summer '89.
Yeah.
What the hell is this?
Eddie and the Cruisers too.
I've never heard of this. Yeah, well, Ebert must have hated it. It's a sequel.
Eddie and the Cruisers 2, the story of rock legend Eddie Wilson, opens August 18th. Raisinets and Goobers are playing everywhere, starring plump, juicy raisins and great golden peanuts. Both now
Goobers
feature
even
creamy
exist
Nestle
anymore?
milk chocolate.
I don't know if they still make those. I've never liked Raisinets.
I think Raisinets still exist.
Palm olive dishwashing liquid, original or lemon lime, softens hands.
That woman
Look
is
at that woman.
horrifying. Look at her eyebrows. Good Lord. Calm down. Stop peering into my soul. Ah!
Why is she even there?
Yeah, why does this woman need to be back?
Wait, why is she there?
It looks like that could be just an unrelated image.
Yeah. Wait, what is she doing there?
Is she the CEO of the Palmotive company, or is she a spokesperson to sell it who's not currently spokespersoning? What?
While you do dishes. Tap and SureCook Space Saver Microwave is perfect for kitchens where space is at a premium. Tap and touch solid state controls and automatic temperature probe furnished by...
Here's a tiny-ass microwave that very few things will go in. You see all of this, most of it won't go there. Also, don't put cake in a microwave.
Also,
most of this doesn't go in your microwave. Why are we looking at it right now?
Also, I know that it's supposed to, like, stick to, you put it in there and, up there and then... It won't fall.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
it looks like it's gonna fall.
Cake under it. What do you think is gonna happen?
Why is that cake there? Like it's like, are these things that are supposed to go in the microwave, or did somebody just not bother to clear the counter off when they showed you this microwave?
By tapping.
Learn how to type better.
Da-da-da-da. Anyway, so that's Siskel and Ebert, Jason.
We got a $5 super chat from Chewbacca's Lover.
Oh, thanks a lot, man.
It is weird how lax they are with this when they are very morally condemning of other films. It's not like they didn't let their morals affect reviews. I'm not sure which.
I think he's talking about that last one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was just because it's a foreign film.
Well, yeah, but I think that's a little dismissive too. Like I know I made the point that they're a little softer sometimes on foreign movies.
Sure.
Admittedly, I've not seen most of the movies that they talk about.
Sure.
So I can't speak to the quality of them, but I think Chewbacca's Lover, that they were very articulate about the fact that they thought the movie was thoughtful about the subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they are fairly consistent about that. Like, there are some subjects that they will admit a bias to and go, I just can't deal with, like, child endangerment and things like that. Mm-hmm. But there are movies that are more thoughtful about that, or where that has to be a major plot point to actually tell the story it's telling, as opposed to being sensationalist about it. And so where they usually get off being, like, kind of like moral arbiters is when they go, this is morally bereft and bad, and they're capitalizing on that too much. They're sensational about it, as opposed to thoughtfully telling a story where that's difficult subject matter. And the movie they were talking about there, I think they were very clear about this is not a movie that is endorsing or condemning like this weird relationship with an middle-aged adult and a child. Mm-hmm. It's just presenting it and you make up your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. $2 from Dr. John Von Kellen. Goobers is my all-time favorite theater candy.
Oh, crazy. I have zero idea what that tastes like. I've never had that.
Yeah.
There's a whole show where I think it might have... Oh, you know what? Something else that we could react to sometime that would be fun if people want us to do more Siskel and Ebert is some of their appearances on Letterman. Those are wonderful. And
I've seen a couple of those.
There's one where they argue about best theater candies. Really? And they bring up some that I've never even heard of before. That I had to look up. Is this still around? And some of it was. I can't remember what it was called because it's stuff that I've never had before. But
and then we have $5 from Teddy. You haven't been gonging any of these, by the way.
Oh, I did one, I think.
She looks like the concept of an 80s housewife personified.
Oh my god. If she was a slasher villain.
Yeah.
Like, she looks kind of demented.
Why feel like there?
And this isn't fair. And it's funny because, like, I was a kid during this period, so I remember, like, these fashions and hairstyles and stuff.
Yeah.
And so when you're a kid, you think all adults are like old people, right?
Sure.
But looking back on it now, I will sometimes see people like that with like that kind of hairstyle, and it makes people look to me older than they really are compared to like fashions and hairstyles and stuff that we're used to now. And the pendulum is swung the other way, where I don't think people in general, and this is coming from a guy with 13 tattoos, I don't think in general people are interested enough in like being classy and being formal when it's appropriate and that kind of, like, I miss some of that. I wish we'd find a good middle ground with that. But when you go back and look at some of the looks and fashions from that period, both with women and men, you've got 29, 30-year-old people that, to me, in hindsight, just looking at it with my more modern sensibility, they look 50. You know, like, that woman in that picture was probably 33 years old.
Maybe.
She looks 45 to 50. I bet she wasn't. I bet she was 32.
I don't know. Well, I also think that
I bet that woman had
the 80s looked older.
3 children under the age of 5.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was fun. It's funny to see what we do in the 80s. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I wonder what your perspective is, because and I know we just watched one episode of this, but, like, I've been doing the on-camera review thing for, going on 20 years now. This is our 17th year, and I wonder if you go back and look at that stuff and can kind of see some of some of the things that influenced me.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, that's where Dad got that. Like you're looking at some of the people that are the reason I do what I do.
Yeah. Of course they're not as long-winded, but
say again.
They're not as long-winded, but
well, they're not able to be.
Yeah.
They would be if they could. You got to have that quick radio thing.
Yeah, I'd like to see like something longer from them,
Yeah.
That's not just like a 20-minute TV program.
Well, I wish both of them could have been around in the podcast days, because they would have done long 2-3 hour shows with people.
Yeah, totally.
Like, imagine one or both of those guys on Rogan or something. Like, it'd be great.
Yeah.
But they did theme shows where they'd be able to talk a bit longer about stuff because they're not doing like 5-6 clipped reviews. And so some of the theme shows are some of the best shows. And if people really enjoyed this and want us to do more, like I said, I'd like to do Star Trek. I'd like to do superhero stuff. We could clip up some things, but I'd also like to do more of these full episodes, because I think it's fun to react to them talking about movies that we haven't even seen. And like I said, I wouldn't mind doing a whole show on this where I just keep hitting Siskel and Ebert reviews, whether you were, with me or not. But one thing I'd love to look at is the best and worst shows, because they get to the end of the year and they'd be like, here are the worst movies of 1996.
Oh man,
and
those are my those are my favorite.
Yeah, you'd love that. I honestly thought about doing one of those tonight, and I was like, well, he's never seen a movie review from them.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, Batman and Ghostbusters the same show, like sold, like that'll be great.
Another $10 from Teddy.
Thank you. All the support tonight, guys, especially Teddy. Appreciate you, buddy.
The way I see.
I mean, I just said especially because he's put in like $30 tonight. Thank you.
The way I see it, the difference between a 50s housewife and an 80s housewife is an 80s housewife has spunk that 50s housewives didn't have. But 50s housewives had better hair, so it evens out. And then he says, honestly, I have no idea what I'm on about.
Well, I don't know. I agree with that. I think you should take 50s hair with the 80s housewife attitude. That's basically, I'm liberated, but I care about having children, so I'm doing this crap anyway. Like that was the attitude in the 80s, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how much changed even in just those 3 decades. Did I even tell you about this? I saw a clip. This has always stuck with me. I saw a clip a few years ago of Bob Barker on his first game show, which was I can't remember. Was it the one something clock? Or I can't remember now. It's just been too long. But anyway, it was a black and white game show, and he's got like 3 women on the stage, and one of them mentions that she is there without her husband, and Bob Barker asks her if her husband gave her permission to be there.
Interesting.
And I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
It's just like the expectations and sensibilities were so different then. And even just like 2-3 decades later, people would be horrified if you said that on television. It was just expected at that point.
Yeah.
Like the wife would have to have permission from her husband.
Yeah.
And it's just a normal thing to say. I just thought that was really interesting.
Another super chat, £5.
Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it. This is our Q&A segment, by the way.
Yeah.
We got to get going here in a little bit.
Both Terry and Bruce share the arch nemesis with Blight.
We're back to this. We bookended it.
He's doing dodgy stuff with Bruce's company and led to Terry's dad dying. Nemesis topic. I'm sorry, I don't know what this is.
Batman Beyond.
Oh. Okay.
Terry McGinnis.
I see.
Yeah. So what? No, that's an excellent point. So he's saying that by Beyond, Bruce doesn't have the same arch nemesis he used to because the Joker is ostensibly dead, and as an old man who is no longer Batman, there is a villain that has taken his company over. So his arch nemesis now is about the ruining of his family legacy and the further ruination of Gotham and all of that, and it's personal because it's his namesake. But he's also Terry's arch nemesis because he once he is like his body's gotten ruined and he's like a full-blown supervillain, and like he's basically a Captain Planet villain. He becomes Batman's arch nemesis for some of the same reasons, of course. And so that's interesting, and that's really smart. I might have made a similar point when I reviewed some of that show. I can't remember, but that's a terrific point and always struck me as intentional because Bruce and Terry are both Batman.
Yeah.
And eventually the show, and especially Return of the Joker, make a really good case for Terry stands alone as Batman. But early on, you need the brain and the brawn. Like, Bruce is still Batman. You have that great line 3 or 4 episodes in where he says, in my head, Bruce is not what I call myself. Like, he's still Batman. It is mine, but he can't physically do the job anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, if people really enjoyed this, we will consider doing more of these. And I'm not going to turn the Captain Logan show into nothing but Siskel and Ebert, but we might occasionally come back and do these, or I might try at some point to make this its own thing. I thought about just doing it as Patreon content and making it part of I'll Do It Myself, but I really liked doing this with you.
Yeah.
Not to say that I wouldn't do some on my own, maybe, because it's not like we have time to go through a ton of these together necessarily. But you had some really good insights.
Oh, thanks.
And your perspective is interesting because you grew up on a lot of my favorite things because I showed them to you. But you've got, a younger, more modern perspective, and you've never seen these guys before.
Yeah.
Lucas Green put in one more super chat.
Yeah, another £5.
Thanks.
Hi, Cap. Will you be doing Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes interview on the channel? Assuming you've seen it, your thoughts on the show, Cap and Jayson. I have not.
I liked what I saw of that show quite a bit. I've never finished it. That's one of the shows where it got canceled prematurely, and so I couldn't get excited about finishing it. I had the same thing with Spectacular Spider-Man. But that is one of those shows that, I mean, I can't make any promises. I don't know how exactly I would cover it. That would be an easy thing to do a blind stream on. I haven't done a lot of those in a while. We used to have a night for it, and we've been doing the Rewind Commentary Project for 3 years. And so occasionally we'll do one, but that's not a main bread and butter thing with us now.
If we would just do a Marvel Animated Universe show.
What do you mean?
Because that's the last. That's technically in that.
Earth's Mightiest Heroes? No, that Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Or am I thinking of a different show?
Maybe, I don't know, but
I thought that was
that was like the last thing.
No, I thought that was the 2010 show.
Okay. I might be mixing it up with
that's
the
like
O2 show.
Yeah, no.
Which I'm not sure what that's called. But.
That's the show that gets canceled prematurely because Jeff Loeb takes over and starts a bunch of shows that nobody liked. And it's really early with MCU, so you've got if memory serves, you've got a Tony in that's not even a Robert Downey impression.
Oh,
wow. But yeah, it was excellent. And it was cool because it starts off with a bunch of kind of splintered episodes that focus on different characters, and they sort of come together. And so the first few episodes of that, there's an episode that feels like just a Thor show, and it feels just like just a Captain America show.
Crazy.
etc. But yeah, you'd really like that show. And the animation is excellent.
Apparently, the 2000 show is Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yeah.
And the show you're talking about is Avengers Assemble.
The show I'm talking about.
Yeah, the 2010 show. Or the 2010 show. Yeah.
Maybe I thought it started later than... Yeah, Avengers Assemble is the bad one. That's the Jeff Loeb show.
Okay.
That's one of the shows that's the reason that got canceled. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Maybe it was tail end of the 2000s. I said 2010s. I couldn't remember when it started. Was it like 07, 08 or something? I don't know.
It's early 2000s.
Early 2000s. Yeah. I don't know.
I haven't seen it at all, so you're better than
Roboter's way before Downey was a thing. I really thought it was later than that. Whatever, it's been too long. But yeah, somebody asked me the other day, maybe it was on the Patreon show, if I would do more top 10s for superhero shows, and I would really like to. They just take a lot of time to put together. Even if it's off the cuff and I'm not scripting it, I got to take the time to watch through a whole show. Although I wouldn't take probably the meticulous notes on every episode that I used to when I was writing them, so I could probably get away with just putting them on like every night when I'm working out, and then write down the ones that I liked well enough to be contenders, And so that could get that treatment at some point, but I would handle it a lot more casually than I used to, or I just would never get through them.
Yeah.
I'd love to do more Power Rangers overviews like I did with the first season a long time ago. It's really hard to put stuff like that together now. As busy as I am, but Bob the Hun, Jason's thinking of Avengers United They Stand. Yeah, I thought so, but I couldn't remember the name of that.
Yeah, so I'm just mixing all of it up.
Fair enough.
Why are there so many?
Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get going. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Sure appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow night for Comic Book Late Night Unlimited. Friday night, Austin and I are doing the 2004 Punisher movie on the Superhero Rewind Commentary Project. So join us for that, and we will do more of this at some point. was really fun. And apologies that my music is randomly playing while I'm trying to talk. We will see you again real soon. I was Captain Logan. This was Jayson.
That was me.
Good night, folks.
She's divorced.
I wanna take you for a ride.